Hello, welcome to the Echo Tips podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about some new features that were mentioned in the A-Lady blog for the roundup of features, new features from the October newsletter or blog. And anyway, one of the features is the ability to move your music from one device to the other and doing so seamlessly. And you can think of probably a lot of situations where that might be handy. A show you were listening to, a podcast, or just your morning jam session, whatever, right? You want to move it from your Echo to the car, or from the car to your iPhone, or from your iPhone back to your Echo. So a lot of different ways in which you might see the utility of that. But before we get into that in any sort of detail, we're going to go to a brief message about our podcast, and then I'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by the New Vision program at Goodwill. We're also grateful for the kind use of WVTF Studios. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments living in Southwest Virginia. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving the New River, Roanoke, and Shenandoah Valleys of Virginia. Goodwill's mission services help individuals with disabilities and disadvantages to get back to work and gain greater independence. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Well, hello again, and welcome back to the Echo Tips podcast. For our new listeners, my name is David Ward. I'm an assistive technology instructor with the New Vision program at Goodwill. And you'll find that our episodes are little nuggetized episodes dealing with your Echo. We try to tackle the new things, but we sometimes go back and dust off some of the old goodies, or even tackle suggestions from our listeners. For our returning listeners, we'd like to welcome you back as well. And for both of you, at the end of the episode, we'll mention some ways you can reach out to us. Okay, so today we're going to talk about moving your music around from one device to the other. Now, historically, music has been kind of the cornerstone of the Amazon Echo, from everything from playing simultaneously everywhere on your Echoes to different things like that, the music subscription plans, podcasts, other networks like iHeart and things like that, or Apple's material, just all sorts of things. So you can start to think, and maybe it might blow your mind, all the different things this might be applicable to. So I'm going to demonstrate one of the practical ways it might even affect me is I ride in here on the bus every morning to work, and when I'm on the bus sometimes I'd like to jam or listen to some of my music, so I'll pop some headphones in. And I'll have here my phone with the Amazon Music app, because I am an Amazon Music subscriber, so I can listen to a whole catalog of stuff they got. So here on my iPhone, I have the Amazon Music app, so we'll just demonstrate this here as a simple example. And I could even have the Amazon Echo Buds, which will connect with the A-Lady app on your phone and get a similar kind of feature set, especially if I was subscribed to music. But you'll see here, it didn't necessarily have to apply to just if you're a music subscriber. It could be podcast, it could be a variety of things. So I have the app open here on my phone, and for simplicity, I'm just going to voice command it here for our benefit. Alexa, play the Windows Weekly podcast.
Getting Windows Weekly audio from Amazon Music.
Okay, so
episode 748.
All right.
WW748. The Good Kind of Asterisk. Microsoft Q1 earnings. Android on Windows 11. .NET 6.
Etc. And the future customer base.
Okay.
Go into the work phase,
So
and they're going to expect.
So there you go. That's my podcast playing on my phone. I'm coming into work, listening to it.
How and if and when they announce this.
Now imagine I pause it when I'm getting off the bus and I have to come into the workplace, put down my bag and hang up my coat, maybe put my lunch in the refrigerator and all that good stuff. But now I come into the classroom or in the studio and I want to resume where I had left off. Well, then I can just sit down here at my desk, and I got my Echo sitting here. Let me turn her ears off. And I can say, Alexa, resume podcast here.
Playing Windows Weekly, audio from Amazon Music. Resuming episode 748, WW748, The Good Kind of Asterisk, Microsoft Q1 Earnings, Android on Windows 11, .NET 6.
For us, and they're going to expect the tools they're familiar with.
I'm curious how and if and when they announce this. It's a weird time to be announcing it in a way, right? Because
Alexa,
halfway through.
stop. So isn't that awesome? It just picked up exactly where I left off. So that obviously is a podcast pulling from Amazon's free material that are in their podcast store or whatever you want to call it. But I could have been listening to, AC/DC or a music album or whatever the case may be in the morning and then come over here to my Echo. Now, the reverse of this could be true too. I could be listening to something here, either at work or at home, and then I need to go somewhere and I want to plug my phone into the car. I could open the Amazon app, or if I had Amazon Echo Auto, where it's actually in your car and it's plugged into maybe your stereo system or Bluetooth into your stereo at the car, then you could do the same kind of situation. So looking down through some of the commands that are mentioned here, and if you do have an Echo in hearing distance of me, I should have said this earlier, you probably want to mute its ears. I'm sorry I didn't mention that earlier. But here's just some of the commands from the blog roundup. You could say something like, now the simplest is like I said, is you pause it on one device, you walk over to the other and just say resume here. Now you might have noticed I said podcast, but it is apparently, I haven't played with this extensively, but the first time I tried it, it didn't work. So like if I had said music here, that one, the first time I tried that, it didn't work. I had to just say podcast here. So it may be content specific. So, resume podcast here, resume music here, that kind of thing. Additionally, here's some of the additional things you could do. Alexa, move my music to the kitchen. Alexa, move my music to the bedroom. Wherever you're at, and you've named those areas of your house or echoes. Just kind of gives you kind of a little idea. Let's see, Alexa, move my music here. Of course, we mentioned that earlier. That's kind of like where you pause at one place and pick up somewhere else. Yeah, so basically that's it, but it's pretty powerful, I think. Pretty useful as well. So, move audio here mentions between different groups. It says here, for example, if you're listening to a podcast or a playlist, that would also apply, a playlist in your bedroom, but you want to go to the kitchen to prepare a sandwich or something. Say, hey lady, move my podcast to the kitchen. So you could invoke it from the device you're at with some of these Alexa, move my music, Alexa, move my podcast to wherever you want it to go. Or like I did initially, I think it's just easier, just pause it and then walk over to the other device and say, move my music here, or move my podcast here. Resume my podcast here. So yeah, just pretty cool. I think the resume works well. But you get two different ways you could do it here, so that's kind of nifty. All right, so that kind of brings this episode to a close. It's time to turn your Echo's ears back on, start practicing some of the many things that you've learned. If you'd like to reach out to us, feel free to look us up on Facebook or Twitter at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, based here in Southwest Virginia. We'd love to hear your feedback, thoughts. Give us a thumbs up. If you're listening to this in a podcast player of your choice, Apple or whatever, or Google, just feel free to leave a comment, give us a thumbs up, give us a star rating, whatever the like. We really appreciate that. So that's super. We really appreciate that. All right, well, like I said, it's time to practice those things that you've learned. I'm David Ward for the New Vision program, and we thank you for listening.
Thanks, Dave. In conclusion, let me tell you a thing or two. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and it is also made possible in part by a grant from Community Foundation serving Western Virginia. And there's more. We're also grateful for the kind use of WVTF Studios. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments living in Southwest Virginia. For more information, check out our website at goodwillvalleys.com/newvision, with no spaces. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving the New River, Roanoke, and Shenandoah Valleys of Virginia. Goodwill's mission programs help individuals with disabilities and disadvantages to get back to work and gain greater independence. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Thanks for listening.